Ladies and gentlemen, gather your thoughts and steady your hearts, for what we're about to unravel is not merely a case of law and litigation, not merely a man versus a courtroom, not simply a name dragged through headlines. This is the unfolding of another chapter in the long, bruised narrative of power, celebrity, and accountability. A chapter that bears the markings of both victory and grievance. A story not yet closed, yet momentarily paused. In the high-stakes arena of New York's legal corridors, where truth must wade through the fog of memory and the clamor of press conferences, we find Sean Diddy Combs, a titan of industry, a symbol of ambition, now a lightning rod in an era that no longer permits silence where there should be justice. And while the public may have grown numb to headlines pairing celebrities with courtroom drama, this one carries a unique sting. Just 1 week after Combs found himself spared from the most severe federal criminal charges, another legal battleground has drawn a ruling, not an acquittal, not a declaration of guilt, but a reshaping of the terrain itself. On July 8, under the discerning eye of New York State Supreme Court Justice Leslie Stroh, a decision was made that chips away at the scope of accusations, and in doing so, stokes the flames of a deeply divided conversation. The lawsuit in question stems from a woman named April Lampros, who stepped forward in May 2024, her voice joining a growing chorus of those claiming pain at the hands of men once untouchable. In her civil complaint, she painted a picture spanning years, a story heavy with the weight of trauma and the silence of decades. Her allegations were not soft whispers but searing screams: a rape in 1995, a sexual assault in 1996, a coerced sexual performance and further rape in 1998, and then, as the century turned, another alleged assault, this time in her own apartment, around the end of 2000 or the dawn of 2001. Each incident, she claimed, carved itself into her life like deep grooves in stone. But the law does not move by emotion alone. It marches, sometimes coldly, to the rhythm of legislation. And here, in this courtroom, it met the letter of the law called the Gender-Motivated Violence Act, a statute born in New York City, enacted on December 19, 2000, and now serving as a legal barrier for anything that occurred before its inception. Combs' legal team, with practiced precision, filed to have all allegations prior to that date struck from the case. They cited the timeline, the statutory limits, the rules that define what a courtroom may and may not hear. And on this point, Justice Stroh concurred. She ruled that anything alleged to have occurred before December 19, 2000, no matter how harrowing, cannot be considered within the framework of this specific lawsuit. And thus, 3 of the 4 claims were swept from the table. Gone, not because they were deemed lies, not because they were disproved, but because they fell outside the reach of the law's window. What remains is one allegation: the alleged assault in Lampros' apartment at the tail end of 2000 or the early days of 2001. A claim tethered to the very edge of that legal threshold. A memory now standing alone in the face of scrutiny. For Combs and his legal team, this ruling was not just procedural. It was a foothold, a momentum shift, a small but potent declaration that not all arrows shot their mark. They called it a victory, not total, but strategic. A carving away of what they viewed as a bloated and unfair portrayal. A reinforcement of the principle that even the powerful deserve the boundaries of law. But for Lampros, and for others watching with hope or fear in their hearts, it may feel like another blow. A reminder that even in an age when more women are stepping forward than ever before, justice still hinges on dates and definitions. That the pain they carried for years may still find the doors to the courthouse shut. And here we are, with another high-profile case dissected in public, with another woman's memories weighed against statutes. The nation watches. The press scribbles. The internet debates. And all the while, a deeper question pulses: where does justice live when time itself becomes the enemy? It would be far too easy to reduce this moment to a headline: Diddy wins partial dismissal. But that would miss the tremor beneath. Because this isn't just about Combs. It's about the mechanisms that govern accountability when power has long tilted the scale. It's about the rules that say what matters and what doesn't, based on dates etched in legal code. The Gender-Motivated Violence Act was created to give survivors a voice, to acknowledge that some crimes are not only physical but gendered, insidious, and uniquely harmful. But even that noble statute is bound by time, a line in the sand drawn by lawmakers in 2000, never knowing what cases it would exclude. For Combs, the fight continues. This is not a sweeping absolution. The case remains alive. That final claim, tethered to the margins of legality, may still carry the full weight of judgment. But for now, his team walks with lighter steps, hailing this narrowing as a defense of due process. They argue that in the current media climate, accusations have often been treated as fact before the first hearing ever begins. That their client has been tried in the court of public opinion long before a jury of peers is ever seated. To them, this ruling is proof that the system works. That evidence must meet the standard. That fairness cannot yield to fury. Yet even in that celebration, one hears the quieter voices of those like April Lampros. Voices that have waited years, decades, to speak. Voices told that what happened to them, though perhaps real and scarring, occurred too long ago to be acknowledged. This is where we now stand. At a crossroad between law and conscience. Between what can be proven and what can be believed. Between a name that built empires and a name we may never have known had she not come forward. And as the legal wheels continue to turn, the cultural reckoning rages on. We are left not with answers, but with reminders, of how fragile justice can be, how coldly precise the law is, and how the past never truly stays buried. In the coming months, the lone surviving claim in this lawsuit will be tested. Witnesses will be called. Motions will be filed. Memories will be dissected under oath. And beyond the courtroom, far from the marble floors and wooden benches, the world will continue its debate. Some will say Combs has been vindicated. Others will argue the system failed yet another woman. But no one, not even the most cynical, can deny that something heavy is at stake. Because every case like this, every lawsuit, every ruling, doesn't just shape the fate of the accused. It shapes the atmosphere for every survivor still silent. It signals what kind of justice is possible and what kind is merely out of reach. This story is not over. But today, it has shifted. The battlefield is smaller, the spotlight more focused, and the stakes, as ever, remain immense.